The Salem Witch Trials, a series of hearings and prosecutions in 1692 in Colonial Massachusetts, encapsulate one of the darkest chapters in American history. This period saw over 200 people accused of witchcraft, with 19 executed by hanging and one pressed to death under heavy stones. Driven by a mix of superstition, fear, mass hysteria, and complex social dynamics, the Salem Witch Trials have been a subject of intrigue and horror for centuries. This expanded exploration delves deeper into 20 lesser-known aspects that add layers to our understanding of these tragic events. 1. The Afflicted Girls. The trials were precipitated by a group of young girls who began to display bizarre behaviors and claimed they were tormented by witches. The core group, including Betty Paris and Abigail Williams, exhibited symptoms such as convulsions, contortions, and uncontrollable outbursts of shouting. Their role and motivations, whether as manipulated victims or opportunistic accusers, have been the subject of intense scrutiny and debate, raising questions about the influence of their families and community in perpetuating the witch trials. 2. Tituba's confession. Tituba, an enslaved woman of Caribbean descent owned by Reverend Samuel Paris, was among the first to be accused and subsequently confessed to witchcraft. Her vivid confession included descriptions of riding on broomsticks to witch gatherings and seeing animals that spoke to her, elements not native to Puritan beliefs, but perhaps to her Caribbean background. This raises questions about whether her confession was a product of her own cultural folklore, mixed with coercion or a strategic attempt to protect herself from more severe punishment. 3. Ergot poisoning. The theory of ergot poisoning suggests that the consumption of ergot-infected rye, which can cause hallucinations and convulsions, might have contributed to the behavior of the afflicted. While this biological explanation offers a rational basis, it doesn't account for the selective nature of the accusations or the orchestrated manner of the trials, which were heavily influenced by personal vendettas and power struggles. 4. Economic and social tensions. The backdrop of the witch trials was a community rife with economic disparities and social upheaval. Salem Village, primarily agrarian, harbored resentment toward the more prosperous and merchant-dominated Salem town. These internal conflicts likely played a role in who was accused, as charges often mirrored the community's fault lines, suggesting that accusations were a weapon in larger economic and social battles. 5. Influence of previous witch hunts. New England had witnessed witch hunts before Salem, and these prior events shaped the 1692 trials. The methods and outcomes of earlier trials, particularly those involving spectral evidence, where victims claimed to see specters or spirits of the accused afflicting them, were used as legitimate evidence in Salem, setting a dangerous precedent that helped escalate the hysteria. 6. The missing records. A significant portion of the official records and documents related to the trials has been lost or destroyed over the centuries. This missing documentation obscures critical details about the proceedings, the evidence presented, and the personal testimonies of the accused and the accusers, complicating efforts to fully reconstruct and understand the events. 7. Role of the Church. The powerful Puritan Church played a crucial role in the witch trials, with many ministers and prominent church members supporting the hunt for witches. This involvement raises questions about the Church's role in reinforcing the trials, possibly using the fear of witchcraft to consolidate their authority and control over the community. 8. Governor Phips' intervention. The trials came to a conclusion only after Governor William Phips intervened, reportedly after his own wife was rumored to have been accused of witchcraft. His decision to halt the trials and later forbid further imprisonments raises questions about his motivations and the political pressures he faced, which may have included personal stakes in the outcomes. 9. Giles Corey's death. Giles Corey, an elderly farmer who refused to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty was subjected to pressing, a brutal form of execution where heavy stones were placed upon his chest until he died. Corey's refusal and his subsequent death became a symbol of protest against the witch trial's legitimacy. His story is often viewed as a courageous stand against the miscarriage of justice. 10. The gender dynamics. The majority of the accused were women, reflecting societal views that women were more susceptible to evil and manipulation. This gender imbalance points to deeper issues of misogyny and the vulnerability of women in Puritan society, where they were often scapegoats for broader social anxieties and conflicts. 11. Accusations among families. It is particularly chilling that family members frequently accused one another, with children denouncing parents and siblings accusing each other. This phenomenon underlines the depth of paranoia that can infiltrate families, driven by fear, manipulation, or sometimes by more pragmatic motives such as inheritance disputes. 12. Use of touch tests. The touch test, where the afflicted person's reactions were observed when touched by the accused, was considered evidence that the accused was the source of the affliction. The irrationality of this test and its acceptance as evidence demonstrate how deeply superstition and panic had embedded themselves in the judicial process. 13. The role of property disputes. Land and property disputes were common in Salem and often overlapped with witchcraft accusations. This intertwining of the supernatural with terrestrial disputes suggests that accusations could be strategically deployed to undermine rivals or settle grudges, adding a layer of opportunism to the spiritual panic. 14. Influence of the Indian Wars. The trauma and constant threat from nearby Indian wars contributed to an atmosphere of fear and readiness to believe in other, unseen and malignant forces at work. This context of ongoing conflict might have made the fantastical claims of witchcraft more believable to a populace already living in fear. 15. Reversal of convictions. Several years after the trials, the Massachusetts General Court reversed many of the convictions, and the government compensated the families of those convicted. This reversal reflects changing attitudes towards the trials and acknowledges the grave injustices committed, highlighting evolving legal and ethical standards. 16. Rebecca Nurse. Rebecca Nurse's conviction shocked the community because of her age and her reputation as a pious, respected member of the community. Her case exemplifies how no one, regardless of their standing and character, was safe from the hysteria once accusations began. 17. The afflicted John Proctor. John Proctor, initially a vocal critic of the trials, was himself accused and hanged. Proctor's story illustrates the perilous nature of dissent against mass hysteria, showing how quickly one could go from accuser to accused. 18. Ann Putnam's apology. Ann Putnam Jr.'s later apology for her role as one of the original accusers is one of the few instances of public contrition linked to the trials. Her statement that she was deluded by the devil speaks to the personal and societal guilt that lingered, as well as the complex psychological underpinnings of the accuser's actions. 19. Legacy of Judge Samuel Sewall. Judge Samuel Sewall, one of the presiding judges during the trials, later issued a public apology and fasted as penance for his role. Sewall's actions represent one of the earliest public acknowledgments of wrongdoing by a judicial authority in America, offering a poignant reflection on responsibility and remorse. 20. The enduring mystery. Despite extensive research, the complete truth behind the Salem Witch Trials remains partially obscured by the mists of time. New theories and interpretations continue to emerge, reflecting the ongoing fascination with this period and its profound lessons on human nature, justice, and societal hysteria. The Salem Witch Trials serve as a grim reminder of what can happen when fear, superstition, and envy coalesce in a perfect storm of societal hysteria. They caution us against the dangers of irrationality and the importance of due process in safeguarding against injustice. As we continue to explore and understand these events, they offer enduring lessons on the complexities of human nature and the importance of maintaining vigilance against the darker impulses of society. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the history of Salem. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the History Channel. Hit the bell icon to be the first to know about more mystery and history. See you on the next one.